Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and I'm here with
Dan Bayless,
of DiscN'Dat Disc Golf Retail Store and Pro Shop in, do you call it Cincinnati? Florence?
Florence, Kentucky. Florence,
Florence?
Kentucky.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Florence, Kentucky. I almost called you Cincinnati, Ohio, but the Cincinnati metro area.
Yeah, Greater Cincinnati area.
This store is a important part of our sports history. And I think it's a great and interesting story. I think you're going to really love to hear it. As hopefully most of you know by now, I manufacture golf discs for Stokely Discs. Yes, available at StokelyDiscs.com. I got to always remember. And I also purchased Ching Discs, the old Ching Disc Company, available at StokelyDiscs.com. And the big, call it separator I'm trying to do with my company is I'm trying to do more to support local businesses, basically pro shops, vendors, and clubs, because the entrepreneurs in our sport are paramount to the growth and the future of disc golf. No manufacturer does as much for disc golf in your town as your local entrepreneur does. And we need to be supporting them. I'm trying to do that as well. One of the things I also want to do for the local pro shops is help preserve the history. I'll put a link down below, but I made a really fun video about the entire history of buying golf discs because it used to be a lot different.
Yeah.
In my book, Growing Up Disc Golf, I talked about the first pro shop, I think was Morley Field in San Diego. That was a pro shop at a course. There were certainly a couple mail order catalogs in the early days. There were some stores that carried golf discs. Eventually, there were stores that carried golf discs and other things such as Golf Disc Skate Shop. But I think, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think your store, DiscN'Dat, was the first retail disc golf store that was exclusively disc golf in the entire world that wasn't on a course. I mean, you had retail space. Is that accurate, do you think?
Now, I think there were probably some other stores before us. I'm not sure.
What was the date?
1996.
That was pretty early. So if anybody had a retail storefront that was earlier, an exclusive disc golf retail storefront, message me and I will do an interview with you and help you promote your store as well. So if you were saying humbly that you may have been one of the first, but we can't think of anyone before you.
I don't recall any names specifically, but it seems like there were some.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, kids, this is what it was like before the internet. There could have been hypothetically there could have been a disc golf store in another state that we none of us knew about.
Yeah.
But again, correct me in the comments, and we'll talk to them. So I want to know the story behind DiscN'Dat. I mean, starting with before the store, you were involved in the business or promotion of disc golf. What was that?
Yeah, I started out, as we all do, playing disc golf and just getting totally addicted to it.
When did you start playing?
1990, um, I started playing, and I used to go up to Dayton, Ohio, and some of you may know Slate Paul, who was running the Worlds in '91 in Dayton. And I used to go up and purchase some discs from him and win some discs in a monthly league up there. And I'd come back down and I'd sell them to some of my friends. And then I'd go back up the next week, get a few more, come back. My friends all wanted to buy these
Okay.
discs.
By the way, I'm going to jump in here. So, kids these days have no idea how easy they have it. We already covered that with the whole internet thing. But as a professional disc golfer, you would go to another city, win some discs, and sell them.
Yeah.
That was your
That,
professional disc golf income.
yeah.
By the way, you and me both.
Right.
Anyway, so you came down, you sold them, you got involved in the.
Yeah, well, Slate Paul, finally he said, wait a minute, I'm running the Worlds this coming year. I don't have time for this. I'm going to hook you up with Discraft in Nineveh. And he did that.
Well, where were you selling your discs though?
Just at courses out of my, I had a little Geo Spectrum that I went up to the Worlds in Dayton that year in, and it was packed to the ceiling with disc, and sold them at the Fly Mart at the Worlds. Um,
So the link again is in the description about a video of the history of buying golf discs. But for many years, the way you bought your discs is some courses, not all, some courses had somebody that would order 50 or 100 discs and sell them out of the trunk of their car. And if you wanted to buy discs, you showed up and hopefully they did too. If you were from another town, you may drive to the town hoping that player showed up. If they didn't, you didn't buy golf
and
discs.
I was one of those. I'd open up my trunk at the end of a round
What
out
were
of
the first discs you carried?
Innova, rocks and AVRs. Those were
Mhm.
the main Cobras.
How much did they sell for back then?
$7. I remember I used to sell, DX discs for $7, and I'd say three for 20. Inevitably, somebody would say, can I get those for 15? Three for 15?
Well, and the thing about the $7 discs, people always talk about adjusted for inflation, but they're not adjusting correctly for disc golf inflation because $7 back then might be the equivalent of $13.82 today or some number, but it's not a one-to-one correlation because nobody back then had money. So $7 back then was more disposable income than most people had. I mean, I remember when they went up to $8, they complained.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you sold them out of the trunk of your car. You were buying from the manufacturers. Did you do custom stamps or were you doing just send me a box of discs?
Um, did both. Yeah, I'd order the disc, but I got into the point back then. Your tournaments and custom stamps were a big thing. So yeah, we had several tournaments or DiscN'Dat stamps. We had one that was a dragon that had I love disc golf,
Mm-hmm.
and then one that said "I hate disc golf" with a guy dragging, putting,
Right.
and hitting the bottom of the basket. So that was one of our stamps. We had lots of different DiscN'Dat stamps. Probably some people out there have those now.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
And that was what year? You said 91 is when you started selling.
yeah. 91 was when I started selling. And then I advertised in, back then you had the Disc Golf World News.
Uh-huh.
Um, we got to purchasing discs from John Houck for the doubles tournament that he ran all the time, every year. Uh, Sold those.
We describe Amazon.com in 1993. There were a couple companies, Discovering the World and Right Life, that had really sharp looking catalogs for the time.
Yeah.
Other than those, you came across an ad in the magazine. It had an address. You would mail the address to say, I would like your catalog. You'd get a catalog back, which was a sheet of paper with a handwritten list of what they had and the price. You picked what you wanted. You might circle a couple things. You added it up yourself. You mailed it back with a check, and several weeks later, you got your 3 discs.
I also remember we didn't have a store or anything at the time, and I don't exactly know the date, but sometime in between 91 and 96, AOL.com came along.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made up a little website. And
Wait, you did? Wait, when was this? You said before 96.
yeah, it was before 96. Um, and actually, Juliana Korber, she saw the site and she messaged me and said, "Hey, I got some suggestions for you." So she gave me some suggestions on how to do things for the website. And
I know, hold on, I want to back up here because I'm actually trying to figure out the history of online retail. And believe it or not, it's harder than you think. You think you go to archive.org and just get it figured out. Because I had two of the earliest golf disc stores, but by earliest they were two of the first 10 maybe, or maybe the first six, but I was certainly not the earliest. I was not aware that anybody had a store up on AOL. Did anybody else sell on AOL that you're aware of?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. No.
Okay, again, if somebody was on AOL uh, or aware of it, please let me know because that could make you the first online retailer as well. Because I didn't even have you in the conversation. I wasn't thinking AOL. I was thinking just store sites.
Yeah. Well, back then too, as you remember AOL, you had the dial up and you had to wait there and wait there forever to get the connection
Oh
on the
yeah, the
AOL.
person shopping at your store would pay like 30 cents a minute in order for the privilege of shopping at your store. Like
And
you
our
would pay by the minute to be on the internet.
and our first online order was 100 disc to Finland.
Wait, for real?
Yep. Uh, the guy, messaged me, said, I want to get 100 discs, and he had a list of everything that he wanted. And I said, well, let me check our stock and see what we have of your disc.
Did you take credit cards like online back then, or did he call it in,
Boy, how was that?
or did he mail a
I
check?
think he mailed a check. Yeah.
That is wild back then, because I was been in online retail for a long time, and when I was a small online retailer, the last thing you would do is send out a $500 order to a foreign country,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like out of the question.
No, no. So yeah, I'm sure I can't remember the specifics, but I went through and I told him what we had, and what I could probably still get from Innova or
I'm going to go ahead and
DiscN'Dat.
say it was Seppo Nieneman.
Who?
Seppo Nieneman. That's my prediction. So you had an online store, and at some point you decided to open a retail store. By the way, that's a stupid idea. No, I mean
Well,
I know. I mean, hindsight's 2020, but opening a retail storefront, like not the best move. I would.
well, my wife might say the same thing because we got married, and
I
then
kid.
6 months later,
Oh, for
we're
real.
we're opening up a store.
And how did you? Were you working another job, or was
Yeah, I'm a social worker. Work a lot with people with severe mental disorders and helping them get out of the hospital and helping them.
well, wait a second. That doesn't fund a side retail business. I mean,
No,
so were you digging into savings?
dig into savings, and every penny that we made went back into the store. And yes, there were many, many years that we lost money.
But did you do market research first and poll the community and gauge how many players there were and how many needed to buy? Or did you just think frisbee golf, cool, store, rad? Was it more that?
Pretty much that. Went by the seat of my pants and just said, I enjoy the game. I enjoy selling discs to people.
Well, that's good because had
I
you done
got into,
you probably wouldn't have done it had you actually. No, for real.
yeah, I loved running tournaments, because I started running tournaments for the local club, and then I started running some ice bowls, and just, I enjoy people having fun playing this sport. And that's the bottom line, pretty much. The bottom line lately has gotten better.
Yeah, it has, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so back then, culturally, there was a huge mindset in our sport regarding people making money off frisbee. And it was disc golf, obviously, but people still used the term frisbee
right.
interchangeably back then.
Yeah,
And the philosophy was you shouldn't make money off frisbee because that was not the spirit of
the sport.
of the sport where the hippies, it came from the hippie generation. There's no doubt about it. And
Right.
with peace and love and freedom and all that. And I think most of us who wanted to, well, not, no, sorry, we all wanted the sport to grow. I think a lot of us knew that if people didn't make money off the sport, it was dead in the water. It was always going to be small. Like we needed. I mean, It's the free market and capitalism. It works. That ain't what everyone agreed with. Did you get pushback in town?
I can't say as we got pushback, but there was a long time that people did just see the sport as the hippie sport, and yeah, you shouldn't make that much money off of it, you
No, that oh, come on, you're being too generous. You shouldn't make that much money.
know.
People did not say you shouldn't make that much
Well,
money. They said you shouldn't make any money.
what I felt was that people thought we were making tons of money
That is
off of
true.
the
They still
sport.
think that actually.
Yeah, where, as I said before, we lost money for a lot of years. I mean, a lot of years. I'm like I said, I was a social worker. I wasn't a businessman.
Mhm.
Yeah, just kept learning by my mistakes.
Did you make more money in your store? Well, first off, how big was the store?
um, our first store was probably half of this size,
How many discs were?
maybe even smaller than this, because we opened up originally a few blocks down the road where a skate park is now, and we started out there because we knew the skate park wasn't there at the time, but we knew in 6 months they were going to be building a skate park there. So we thought, well, we can open up the shop. If it makes it, good. If not, then experiment, close. But we just, I mean, many days we went home and said, are we going to open up the next day? Because there were many days in a row we didn't sell a disc. And you just didn't. You know, I mean, that's hard to believe nowadays, but yeah, that's where it was.
No, I mean, when you go from zero to today, you were on that timeline.
Yeah.
The store was small. I mean, it was a different world.
And we
Uh,
did sell some different things along the way because when we opened up, it's like, gosh, again, nobody was buying discs from a retail store, but the word got out, the club helped a lot, to let the people in the club know. But we sold incense, uh, you know, people like incense.
just
Again,
anything to make an extra buck.
yeah. And when we actually moved to this spot, we used to be two doors down too. We've had a couple different iterations of DiscN'Dat, but pretty much it's been in this place for about 20 some years. When we did move here, a lot of people used to come in and say from our name, "Oh, you got CDs? You're DiscN'Dat. You got?"
Oh,
I said, "No, but you come back next week and we'll have CDs."
right.
So then I went home, got me up about 20 CDs, put a sign out front, said, use CDs,
Oh,
yeah, buy and sell. And so that helped. But then the CD business also went, yeah.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, eh, in the early days, you did whatever you could to keep your head above water.
Like when did you were you able to start paying yourself?
Oh, boy.
Where you actually had some money left over that wasn't allocated towards bills or inventory?
That was probably about 10 years in, to be honestly.
And you stuck it out for 10 years.
Stuck it out all that time.
All right, so now we're to modern day. What's your challenge? What's the biggest challenges you're facing?
Well, I think now is being able to see the ups and downs again. In the early days, there were those, plateaus and you'd have a little up and then you'd see it down. And I think almost all of us have seen that in disc golf also. You know, that, the COVID thing peaked and now you're starting to see, not a lot, but a
Mm.
plateau now, because, a lot of the people, yes, that, got in through COVID, You know, a lot of them are still playing, but you have naturally you're going to have a drop off.
Hmm.
You know, everybody's not going to stick with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the major thing I think now for all of us retailers in disc golf and the manufacturers also, yeah, is to realize that there's going to be a little change now. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know with um, based on projected attrition and I mean, it's pretty predictable how many people that start playing continue playing. That the boom was so big during COVID that even with the projected decline, we are ahead of pace had COVID not happened until like 2028. So any decline is only when you compare it to 2 years ago.
Right.
We are still significantly ahead of where we would
Exactly.
have been had COVID never happened.
Yes.
But one of the problems for retailers is that during the COVID boom, there were towns that had one pro shop that all of a sudden had four. Did a lot of other shops open up in your area?
Yeah, we've had I'd say probably three shops maybe that opened up. You know, in the
Still,
greater Cincinnati
still
northern.
open?
Pardon?
Still open?
I know one recently had to close down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I mean, this is it's business, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. It's there's so the free market dictates how many businesses it can sustain. Like everyone's that got into it. Like no one's gotten into selling golf discs to get rich.
No,
Like pro shops and retail stores. I mean, that's not about that. That's a labor of love for everyone.
it is.
And so I always feel bad when stores go out of business when people I mean, they're doing what they love, and unfortunately, they go back to doing possibly what they hated that they were so excited to stop doing. But I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, this is a big part of why my shop local campaign is such a big part of what I'm doing is trying to keep stores in business. You know, you guys are like at the backbone of running tournaments and running leagues and putting courses in the ground. You know, like if someone gets hit in the head with a disc and there's a city council meeting talking about pulling a course out of the ground, like us manufacturers aren't going to be at that city council meeting fighting for the course.
Right.
You will be.
Exactly.
And I think it's unfortunately to a lot of the players, it's just it's not apathy. I think they just people just don't think they got a million other things on their mind, and it comes down to as simple as, oh, I can save $1 ordering that disc from Amazon, and I don't mind waiting a day. But those lost sales to the local retailer crush you because those are the sales that keep you in business. Like I want to try to educate people that we need you guys around for our sport to grow. It's
Exactly.
even, by the way, important to the manufacturers because that's the long-term growth of the sport, which means everybody does better. It's win-win-win. It's like it doesn't have to be a couple companies that win.
Right.
A lot of people can win, and we all win. What do you have planned for DiscN'Dat?
Well, we
Anything?
we did just expand. You know, we used to be right where we're at.
Oh, this is how recent?
Just in the last 8 weeks, we
Wow.
started.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still not
You had
finished.
all this inventory in half the size.
I'd say 90% of what's in here was in half the size. Yeah. You probably a lot of people that see this video will say, "Yep, you couldn't hardly walk around in here. If you got four customers in the store, we were jam packed." Uh, this has been something that we've, had in our sights, for quite a while.
I'm so happy for you, though. I mean, I've known you a long time, Dan.
Yep.
But you're such an important part of the sport. I mean, you are. I mean, you don't understand. Like, you are a trailblazer. You are part of the sport's history. DiscN'Dat is part of the lineage. It was stupid of you to open up a store, but like so much innovation comes from people being stupid enough to think something's going to work
Yeah.
or being ahead of their time. It took you 10 years to make money, which means that you were 10 years ahead of your time. But without people making those poor business decisions because of something they love, these things don't happen. It's don't ever not appreciate your place in the sport, Dan.
Well, thank you.
No,
That's really appreciated.
I want to get you to give me a tour of your store and tell people why they should come shop here. So here we go. All right, show me DiscN'Dat.
All right. Well, first, what so many people come into our store for to begin with is we have one of the largest selections of used discs. And in this used disc section, you can get, a disc from maybe $4 up to $10. And some of the $10 are almost brand new. So that's one thing that a lot of people come in for. But we've got discs from every manufacturer. Yeah, we've got a big Discraft wall, an Innova wall over there. We've got Trilogy plastic, all the Trilogy disc, dynamic disc, West Side, Latitude 64. We've got discs from Costaplast. Joey Anderson won the Auto Wild Open today. And we've also got lots of discs from other manufacturers. And over here we've got Stokely disc. There's the Cardinal. We've got the Ching disc, the Juju. Got the Wren here. The Owl.
Yep, and you see, like you said, this is if you want to get a first run owl, you can't buy them off my website. You need to walk into a pro shop and buy them.
We've got a huge selection of bags.
Well, first off, what is this? Is that you use that?
We've got, we've got the baskets that, we've got all kinds of baskets for purchase, but we've also got the net that we haven't finished this yet, but we've got a tech disc that we will be able to have people come in and throw into the net and get their specifications from the tech disc. We've just got just about anything, that has to do with disc golf. We've got disc cards. We've got, blow lights. We've got all kinds of grip enhancers. A lot of people will remember Brock Woodall and the birdie bag.
You can actually buy, I don't know if you even know this, you can buy birdie bags wholesale from my website. We're very closely connected to Brock and Birdie Bags.
There we go. We've got some D&D birdie bags, minis, stickers, towels. So just about anything to get you started. We've got disc golf sets for the person that's just getting started. And again, any questions you have, we've got, the people here are going to come in are going to help you.
Yeah, you walk into a pro shop, it's not just about supporting local businesses. It's about getting to actually, number one, feel the disc, because you can't tell on the internet how a disc feels. I don't care how you describe it or how, like, you cannot tell until you feel. And everybody's hand's different. The ridges on your fingers are different. The oils in your hands are different when you sweat. You need to feel a disc to know if it's going to come out of your hand right. But more important is that discs are expensive. If you buy them off the internet, doesn't matter if a pro endorses it, doesn't matter what the flight numbers are, doesn't matter how fancy the advertising is. You may wind up with a disc doesn't do what you're trying to get it to do. If you walk in, there is an expert at every, not just DiscN'Dat, every pro shop, disc golf pro shop in the world has people in there that know more about discs than you probably do, and they will save you a fortune. Like, you don't save $1 by buying off Amazon. Every time you save $1 3 times, you lose $25 once because you get a disc you don't need. I mean, it's bad business.
Right.
To order direct. I'm sorry, it just is, unless there's no other options. So that's why pro shops are key. All right, I'm done plugging the pro shop pitch. But all right, I'm gonna have to shake your hand left-handed because I'm now holding this selfie stick style.
All right.
And it's always good to see.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Congratulations.
Really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, congratulations again. All right, thanks everyone. And I know I'm supposed to say like and subscribe, but I hope you all enjoyed. And if you're in Florence, Kentucky, not Ohio, make sure you come by DiscN'Dat.
All right.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everybody.